On Sunday, September the 10th, 2023, the customer support center for the biggest casino conglomerate in Las Vegas, MGM Resorts International, received a strange phone call. The caller claimed to be an employee that needed a password reset, and knowing the verification requirements for this kind of procedure was pretty weak, they managed to take over the desired accounts quickly without raising any alarms. Now, you might think that the biggest casino in all of Las Vegas should have had stronger security measures and better protocols in place to prevent a full takeover of the back-end system with just one phone call, but unfortunately this wasn't the case. After the operator hung up, the hackers managed to gain full control of MGM's Okta servers, which is the company that runs the casino's back-end network and the employee portal. Of course, the attackers knew this, and although they could have acted immediately, they decided to wait for the right moment, whilst trying to siphon out as many logins and as much valuable data as possible. This is because it wasn't their first time committing an attack like this. These guys were experienced. The ransomware group went by the alias ScatteredSpider, a subgroup of a larger cyber gang known as BlackCat or Alphv. They've been responsible for all kinds of attacks lately, such as the recent Reddit takeover and attacks on the Japanese watchmaker Psycho. Their group specializes in ransomware coded in the programming language Raas, and this is what separates this group from other cyber gangs. Now, for those of you who don't know a lot about the Las Vegas Strip, most of the casinos there are owned by two companies, MGM Resorts International and Caesars Entertainment. These two conglomerates make a combined $24 billion in revenue annually, operating 17 out of the 31 casinos on the Las Vegas Strip. This makes MGM easily one of the biggest names in the gambling business, with the company worth around $33 billion before the attack, and now it was all about to go down because of a single phone call. Once the group was ready to strike, they started causing digital outages, and at this point, websites went down, video poker and slot machines stopped working, ATMs, kiosks, member rewards, everything was under maintenance. The situation at the resorts got so bad that guests had to be manually checked in with a clipboard and pen since the computer at the front desk was useless. Once aware of the situation, MGM responded by taking some of their computer system offline to try and prevent the attackers from stealing data, but this was a pretty feeble attempt, as I'm pretty sure this prevented nothing. They then tried to kick the hackers out of the network, but this didn't work either. They then received a demand for $30 million in order for the systems to be brought back up. To be honest, I actually don't think this is a bad deal for the casinos, considering the amount of profit they lost from their machines not making any money for a few days is definitely greater than the ransom money. Regardless, MGM decided not to pay out the ransom, and in return suffered for almost a full week whilst they were rebuilding their systems from scratch. It was a costly choice for MGM, and as of right now they're still working on getting all the casinos fully operational again. They weren't the only company affected by this in Vegas either, because their biggest competitor, the Caesars Palace, was hit by the same group just a few days prior to this attack. The Caesars Palace did end up paying half of their $30 million ransom in exchange for the customer information that was stolen to be deleted. This data includes both driver's license numbers and social security numbers for a significant amount of Caesars Palace customers. Shortly after the ransom had been paid, the palace was fully operational again, but only time will tell if the customer data was actually deleted or if it will surface again on some random forum in the following months. It's actually crazy because the Caesars Entertainment loyalty program is the biggest casino loyalty program in the world, with MGM being second, of course. I think it goes without saying that when most companies end up losing control of their network infrastructure, it's usually a sad story full of unfortunate victims, and while that is the case for this story, there's also another element to it in the fact that the casinos got to pay and face some financial losses in all this. Of course, the employees are the real heroes of this story, as MGM called in I think more than 80% of their staff team to be on the casino floor, making the stay as smooth as possible for all the guests during this awful situation. It's important to note that because MGM didn't pay their ransom, some potentially bad stuff is going to happen regarding their customer information, but since then both the attackers and the conglomerates have came out with statements. The casino said everything was fine when it really wasn't, and that they were doing everything in their power to make sure that customers weren't affected. While the attackers condemned MGM for being a soulless corporation that doesn't care about its customers' privacy, saying they didn't think MGM wanted to make a deal because their customer data is worth less than that. Most likely the information will be released to the public one way or another, but for now it seems like they got the system back up running. Regardless, I think that's everything I can talk about for this video. For those of you who've been wondering if I'm dead, not yet, but the Discord's back up now, so if y'all want to see more of me, you can join that down below. Peace.
Blow bands, blow bands, blow bands. Blow bands, blow bands, blow bands. Check my pants, they say true, man.